Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kirk here. Another note presentation. This is part two of Virginia local governments, SOL 8B and 8C, with a little bit of 9C, because we're going to look at how international issues affect local governments also. So there are two questions I want to look at today. Number one is, what's the relationship between state and local governments? And the second one, what are ordinances and how do local governments create or enact ordinances? Remember, an ordinance is a local law. Let's get started. So our essential questions for the day. What is the relationship between the state government and local governments in Virginia? How do localities enact ordinances? And what international issues and events would require local government officials to act? So let's look at local elected positions. So the Virginia Constitution gives a lot of rules for local governments. And in every local government, counties, towns, and cities, they are required to elect certain things. City council members or board of supervisor members would be the first. Then mayor or school board members sometimes are elected and sometimes they're appointed. These are always elected. Number one is the sheriff or the person who operates the local jail. The clerk of the circuit court, which is sort of like the head secretary / handles everything for the judges. They take payments and mail letters and all that kind of stuff, but they're basically over everything concerning court documents and payment of fines and then getting in contact with people. The third one is the commissioner of revenue. This has a lot to do with local taxation. The treasurer, who deals with all local money. And then finally, the district attorney, who is the elected person who prosecutes local crimes that happen. Those are your 5 elected positions in all Virginia local government: sheriff, clerk of the circuit court, commissioner of revenue, treasurer, and district attorney. Moving on. This is a review of everything we did yesterday, just so you know. It says list elected officials in each unit of local government. For the county government, you should have wrote board of supervisors and school board. For town governments, you should have wrote town council, mayor or manager, because you don't have to have both. And for city governments, you have city council, school board, and mayor or manager. So again, we're going to move on to SOL 8B. What is the relationship between state government and local government? I want you to know that all powers of state and local governments are given by the Virginia Constitution and acts of the General Assembly. So it's our state constitution or laws written by the General Assembly that give local governments their power. Okay? Not all counties and cities are given the same powers. Some have more than others and some have different powers. This is because each city has a charter or contract that lists their power that's written by the General Assembly. So the charter of the city of Danville will tell exactly what powers the city of Danville has. This right here is everything I need you to know about 8B, that state and local governments have a relationship and that their power comes from something called a charter. But if there aren't any questions, I'm going to move on to the next slide. So this one is 8C. How do localities enact ordinances? Right? And I want you to know that the word enact means to put into action, to make happen, like make a law. The 3 units of local government are counties and towns and cities. And an ordinance is a local law. If you understand these 3 things, the rest of this will make sense. So counties, cities, and towns, they pass ordinances to provide services for their residents and to protect the residents, usually person and property. An elected council, city council, county council, or even the board of supervisors, is a local legislative body that independent cities, incorporated towns, and even counties can create laws that are called ordinances. Okay. The next thing I want you to know is that individuals or citizens like me or even you have the greatest impact at the local level. That means we can affect what's happening in Danville easier than we can change what's happening in the United States. That makes sense because we live closer to here. So these people who are operating our government, we see them in our everyday life. All right, so the final thing I wanted to discuss is how things happen around the world can affect local decision making, like an ordinance. Okay, there are some international issues and events that would require a policy decision by our local government, right? This could include public health concerns, like in the event of pandemic, like what's going on right now, COVID-19. Don't think our city council hasn't met to talk about things concerning COVID-19. Our second one is public safety. This is usually in the event of an attack or terrorism. Like think of the 9/11 attacks. 3, economic development policies in response to an emerging global economy. Like that would mean our government will try to do things to get maybe an international business to build a factory to provide jobs for local citizens and things like that. And then policies to protect the environment. So we have public health, public safety, economic development, protect the environment. And those are the 4 international issues that are things that can affect local government decisions. Okay? So to conclude our notes, we're going to talk about how do local governments actually solve problems. So here's the situation. Okay? And I'm just going to go ahead and show answers with this so I can explain them. But if a city council discussed a new warning system to alert citizens of immediate threats to the community, like say a flash flood or a tornado, that's dealing with the issue of public safety, which is one of our issues local governments would deal with. Or you could say the flu, or currently the COVID-19 planning committee met at a community center to discuss changes to policies that would include local schools. That's called public health. Number 3, a 1% tax would be added to all recreational activities. This revenue would be used to build a new skate park. That's levy and collect taxes. If they charge a tax for you to go to the park and they use that to make better parks, that's levy and collect taxes, and also, providing things for the public good. And then finally, the County Board of Supervisors rezoned 4,000 acres of land in an effort to attract more businesses. That is economic development. Actually, when this was written, this was back when the Berry Hill Park, that's off of 58 going to Brosville, really, on the left. That huge industrial park was created by the city of Danville and by Pennsylvania County, kind of working together. And that would be economic development. So these are all local decisions. Now, you as an individual can affect these local decisions by talking to your city council members or school board members, writing letters, maybe even signing up to speak publicly at a city council or school board meeting to let your views be known. But these are all ways that we as individuals can affect local government, which is the level of government that we can affect the most. So always stay involved, or you have no reason to complain. At least that's what my dad always told me. If you didn't vote, you have no reason to complain. If you didn't speak up, you have no reason to complain. And I think that applies a lot to what we're talking about with local government. So if there are any more questions, please shoot me an email. That concludes the second part of local government. Thank you guys and have a great afternoon. I'll see you next time.